Hi, friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome in. Welcome to Land Spirit Connection. Woo, let's hear it for the land. And I'm so glad that you're making the time to be here today. These are pretty wild times. These are pretty crazy, wild times for the humans. And these are sweet, grounded times for the land. So, how can we tap into the sweet, grounded, flowing, easeful, prosperous, already evolved energy of the land? I don't know. Anybody else here feeling a little anxious in today's world? Holy crap. There's a lot of contention. It's a lot of arguing. And yeah, there's a lot of change. So today we're going to find some peace. Today we're going to find some ground together. Today we're going to remember what it is to truly ground, not just like take a breath and feel gravity, but to connect with, to collaborate with, to co-conspire with the spirits of the land that it's so easy to forget in these very modern times. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Eva from Sweden, Jamie in Oakland, Pamela in Idaho, Amanda in Ireland. Yeah. Jen in, Amy grew up on Cape Cod, she said. Okay. New Jersey, Lisa's in Grass Valley. Hi, neighbor. Yes. Hello from Cape Cod. Yes, indeed you are. Okay. Nicole's in Michigan and Janet's in San Rafael, California. Elena's in Montana and Diane's in Connecticut and Charlie's in Grass Valley. Hi, neighbor. And Jen is here from Central Mass, the land of the Nipmuc. Yes, it's so nice to acknowledge the original people who lived on the lands that we live on now. Here it's the Nisenan, the Maidu, and I was born on the lands of the Kumeyaay in San Diego. And the truth is, well, I don't know, the truth is, well, that's always a big proclamation, right? My Apache mama says we're all indigenous because we're all born on the earth. And that's a nice perspective to also maintain as we come together to tap our natural connection to the earth and the earth spirits, the land spirits, not from any one tradition, even though I've got my Apache spearhead necklace on today, but really from our own intuitive connection to the Big Ma. So that's where we're coming from. Hi, Joni. She's in Florida, and Annette's in Kansas. Catherine's in Arizona. Jeremiah's down the hill in Sacramento. Portia's here from Colorado. I am welcoming you all into the circle today. And as we get started, feel free to take a breath and acknowledge that we really are all gathering together and that we are all on the earth right now. Take a breath and recognize that you're watching from Europe, Brigitte's in Germany, or here in the US on the East Coast or the West Coast, or wherever you are tuning in from, you are sitting in a circle. So you might even stop, take a breath, might even take a moment to close your eyes and sort of gather your own energies in and feel your own spirit guides or angels or your own divine presence around you, whatever metaphor you like. Feel that which you call holy cuddling up to you right now. Just imagine it. Consider it an imaginary game that can also end up being real. When you just take a breath and a moment to imagine your parking angels, your serendipity bringers, your blessed ancestors like your great grandma, and imagine those loving spirits devoted to the highest good all around you, as they always are around you, encircling you, supporting you. Can you take a breath? Are you willing? Woof. To close your eyes and take a breath and maybe even relax backwards into their support for a moment. Are you willing to just imagine how proud of you, how grateful Spirit is for you individually in your life? How grateful your Spirit team is for you walking through your challenges and your fears, for choosing love in the ways that you choose love, even when you don't feel like it. Imagine yourself being really held. And this right here is one of the first steps to allow ourselves to cross the veil that we often put up more like a steel wall, and to let that steel wall soften into a veil where we're willing to feel Spirit around us in a very palpable, loving way. Just that. Yeah. Good. So now this is your Spirit team. And, you know, when we pray, we often are taught to pray up. We're taught to pray up to Spirit, up to the Holy Spirit, up to the God and God's children and the prophets and Jesus and all the holy ones above. And that's cool, right? We can get a lot from praying with the cosmic, with the up, with the Spirit. But right now, as we get started talking about land spirits, I invite you to pray down. Not down into some evil hell, blah, blah, blah. That's not a story we're buying into right now. But rather down into the soil. And so can you take a few breaths, give this to yourself? I was taught by my Apache Mama Maria that when I feel anxious, it's because I'm like tight in my root and I'm like I'm strangling the connection with the Great Mother below me. What? So how do you unstrangle her? How do you release anxiety? Well, one way is to relax the bottom of your body, to relax your sex, to relax your butt, to relax the whole bottom of your body and let it go. Blah. If you're feeling that, blah, you could even type blah in the comments. Blah. Like really. I like to do it with the out breath, so you can breathe in, fill yourself with breath, which is like the food of your body, and then on the out breath, go blah, and relax your jaw and relax your root. Blah. Yeah, Odd's got the blah. Jen's got the blah. Yeah, Jen's done this before with me. That's right. A blah. With the wide tongue, with the soft jaw. I've sometimes called this the golden retriever pose, the sacred golden retriever pose, right? Goes like that. You could cock your head like you're interested in life, but relax the jaw, relax the tongue, and relax your root. And as you do this, yes, thank you for joining the blah. As you do this, you can imagine your consciousness dropping down, dropping down into the earth. And this kind of prayer with the earth below us feels different, doesn't it? What does it feel like to you? To me, it feels like surrender. And to be honest, and yes, the class has begun, y'all. This is how we do it. To be honest, when I practice this earth connection breath and practice of blah, when I allow my consciousness to surrender and stop trying, when I go blah, I feel a little emotional. Like, in other words, I feel the emotions I was otherwise holding in. And I agree. I feel that dropping in. I feel that melting too. And that stable feeling. And like Lee says, home. Go down and rest in the lap of the mother for a minute here. So this practice, just this relaxing, opening, melting, blah. Just this. And with that out breath, surrendering your control, your tension, your fight, surrender into that stable foundation of the earth. Yeah. And now we are in a circle here, right? We're all showing up for land spirit connection. So we're all kind of spiritual chicks, and probably a few good men as well. And let's just imagine, if you still have your eyes closed, you might imagine all of us sitting in a circle on the earth, opening our roots and letting it go, letting our tension go into the earth, letting all of our plans go, giving up. It can feel like giving up because so much of our modern human existence is about fighting and trying and moving and going and building and doing and building and right. And this is the other thing, surrendering, melting, dropping. And you can just imagine all of us sitting in a circle on the soil, and we are all, and in your mind's eye, as you imagine looking around this circle of all these friends who, are situated physically right now all over the earth, and yet we're all so deeply present together here because we intend it to be so. Dare to send your blessings out to all these beautiful people here sitting in circle together, to all of us. Dare to celebrate everyone's connection to the earth, everyone's surrender. Now this kind of practice, feeling ourselves dropping into the earth and supporting others dropping into the earth, what happens is we begin to tune to the electromagnetic pulse of the earth. Even if there's a bunch of concrete and stuff between us and the earth, with our consciousness, we can tap it. And can you feel your body begin to relax? And your rhythms of your body begin to slow to her rhythm. Now, if you happen to be listening outside, or you have the capacity to pick up your laptop and go outside with this, feel free. Lean against a tree. It gets even easier. But you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait to be outside. You don't have to wait to go camping. You don't have to wait to take a walk to the park. By releasing the tension of your root and your jaw, you're basically just opening the conduit for this natural electromagnetic connection that we're all designed to have all the time. It's just that the tension and the race of our lives often has us subtly turn into literal tight asses, right? Guilty. Now, if you're feeling this subtly, but you want to feel it more strongly, try filling your whole body with breath. And really letting it all go with a big out breath, with a big, like, whew, kind of sigh, with a big sigh of relief. Jaw open, root open, surrendered. Wow. Take a look around the circle now in your mind's eye, and you'll see these deeply rooted people. Now, what we're doing here is, as you can imagine, a preparatory embodied meditation. And we will be talking about more tips and techniques and stories. But the best way, I think, for us to learn in our bodies is to experience it. And a really fun way to accelerate and amplify that learning is to do it together. And we're doing it together right now. All these people all around the world, we're all sending our love to one another. Now, let's take this meditation one step further before we get into the talkie-teachy part, so that even the talkie-teachy part can also be experiential. I now invite you to imagine that the earth you're sitting on, and again, you're imagining sitting on soil. In your mind's eye, you're sitting on soft soil. And what if in this soil there's a beautiful network, a mycelial network, which is basically the roots, you might call it, or the network or webbing that mushrooms have under the earth. And we've learned, and if check out Paul Stamets' work and the work of many others, scientists who've been studying the mushrooms and AKA the mycelial family, that there's like a web-like network in the soil everywhere that connects through those little tendrils, connects under all the trees, connects all living things through the earth. And so we're going to utilize that metaphor and that very real phenomena of the mycelial network. So as you're sitting here, just imagine these very gentle, tender little mycelial web. They're like tender, gentle roots that are cradling your body as you're sitting on the earth. And recognize that's actually a true story. When you're sitting on the earth, there is a whole mycelial network underneath. And that mycelial, all those little lines that look like roots, but there's capillaries, they're just everywhere. They connect you where you're sitting with every other person, including me in this circle. We're also sitting on a similar root network that are connected around the globe. That you're sitting on a communications and empathetic network. And when you let your consciousness drop down through that relaxed root, your consciousness, you can imagine having deep communion and rest in this mycelial web. These little capillaries of roots that connect you now with all the living things. Your roots connecting you with all the roots all around the planet. And take a few more deep breaths and letting go out breaths. And imagine giving up your tensions, your unnecessary controls, which is a lot of them, right? Giving them over into the mycelial network, giving them over into the soil, giving them down. It's kind of different than giving them up, but giving them down into the earth that wants to compost them. Let them go. And as you're doing this, remember how you welcomed in your spirit team around you, your angels, that which you call holy, in whatever metaphor suits you. All those devoted to the highest good, they're still around you, and you might imagine them now grounding you and clearing you. So imagining your spirit guides, and they're so gentle and they're so loving, and they're pulling off of your head a bunch of heavy worries you've been carrying. And I'm using my sage that grown on the land, harvested here, that is just an ally in helping balance our energies. You can imagine that sage smell around you. You can imagine your guides helping, and then the mycelial roots underneath you receiving. The whole earth saying, yes, you can give that to us now. We'll take that off your shoulders. Imagine shrugging a heavy backpack of these obligations that feel like bricks, shrugging that backpack off your shoulders and letting it drop onto the earth behind you and be swallowed up like delicious compost by the earth. And she says, I've got this for you. You don't need to carry that. So your guides are, imagine them releasing heavy things off your heart, worries, griefs. Imagine them releasing armor from behind your heart, old points of abandonment, of betrayal that now you know you can let them go. You had that lesson and that's complete. That's so nice. And as you do this, you can imagine looking around the circle and seeing everybody else, also shrugging off their backpacks and their guides removing heavy stuff off their hearts and their backs. And that just lets you even more deeply release into the earth. Good work. Now, as your guides continue to work with you here, just clearing you and reconnecting you with the energy of the earth. And as you keep doing your big sighs, letting go with your out breath to feel yourself really sinking and cradled and held. As you feel your jaw released, I'm just going to say thank you for being here in this moment to reconnect with Earth and her magic. And I'm going to be sharing with you some really fun tips and tools and stuff. And this connection is just as important as anything else you're going to learn. It's one thing for me or Maria, my Apache mama, to tell you that the antidote to anxiety is deep grounding. And it's a whole nother thing for you to experience that right now. Can you feel your anxiety released? Did that drop you into a different state if you were feeling a little understandably nervous or wound? We who are empaths, we who are sensitives, which probably describes most of us and you watching, whether you're watching live or the replay, we empaths, we're feeling a lot these days. And there's a lot happening in the collective, and it's so important for us to discharge the additional extra stuff that we carry. So as you are letting go with your out breath, imagine discharging this land underneath you, wherever you are, is the right place to discharge. This will prevent overwhelm. This will prevent that feeling of crazy, overwrought, can't sleep, wired feeling. This will release that. The opposite of anxiety is Surrender. And even grief. Grief is like the strong version of letting go. So dare to feel the grief that you're here to feel too. And notice when you are open in your root and open in your jaw, notice that your grief relaxes and releases more swiftly because it has a wider channel to flush down through. Now I'm going to tell you a big secret. You might already know this big secret. It might not be a big reveal for you. It might be more of a validation. The big secret that we're really called to keep remembering during these times when it comes to connecting with Earth is that, yes, we are in a time of radical change and evolution for the human family. The secret is the Earth already evolved and she's already there. The Earth is already in this new system. And yeah, there's changes happening. Yes, there's lots of changes happening. But the energetics of the Earth, according to the prophecies of my teachers, Maria's teachers, in many different wisdom cultures, says that the Earth's evolution completed 2012. Here we are 13 years later. The Earth is there. The humans are catching up. So if you've always felt like you're a little bit before your time, or you're a little different than a lot of other people, or that you're talking to Spirit and Spirit has only great things to say, it's because Spirit is connecting with the reality of the Earth. And where we get a little lost is when we get lost only in the frame of the human mind and the human tumult, because the humans are definitely still evolving. And it's going to take a while for us to catch up with what's already true with the natural world. So that's the big secret. And therefore, during these wild times of rapid change that is often very disturbing, our safety and our peace is present when we connect with the Earth. Since you are someone who's here, who's interested in this, it tells me that you're already a bridge between the worlds, that you are already an intuitive person who doesn't just believe in what your brain says, but also who feels a greater reality of meaning. Spirit above, but also the intelligence and the spirit of the Earth below us. And that's where our peace lies, because that's where we can feel what's already evolved. That's where we can go from being hopeless into being inspired again. And yes, resting on this earth and relaxing and connecting, yes, it does open your channel for the feelings to flow through. The feelings are part of the way we connect with what is real below us. So I wanted to talk about, now that we've established this foundation, and your guides, I can feel that they're kind of winding up your clearing, and that you can now stay in this beautiful state, if you choose to, if you dare to, of a relaxed jaw, relaxed root. Keep coming back to that letting go breath. This is all stuff that we practice weekly in my Wisdom Collective because it calms us down. Sometimes I show up for Wisdom Collective class to teach, and I'm like, oh, I got to go teach. And as soon as we drop into our exercises that help us do this at the beginning of each class, I'm like, oh, Spirit's so smart to have me teaching class because it gets me to do my own practices. You know what I mean? I feel like we need each other. And also these practices work better in a circle than all on our own. We need each other right now. So I'm glad you're here. I'm really glad that you're choosing to sit in circle. And you're welcome to sit in circle with us every week and join the Wisdom Collective. It's whatever, less than $12.50 a class. It's cheaper than Pilates by a long shot. So as you're relaxing here, I'm going to share with you these sort of 3 big problems that I see that we're having, and then the solutions, the tools and the practices with land spirit that solve these problems, because that's kind of how our mind thinks, at least mine. I was trained as a lawyer, went to Stanford. Like my brain is still like problem, solution. And my intuition is like, yes, and interconnectedness of all things. I think we need both, right? Intellect and intuition. So let's talk about this first of the 3 problems and the trick. Okay. The trick. The first big problem that we have is kind of the obvious one when it comes to connecting with land spirit, when it comes to connecting with this peace that the elementals and the land spirits have for us. And that is, it's not visible. Sounds silly, right? Sounds kind of obvious, but it's a big problem. Our eyeballs, our visual cortices have been hijacked, have been taken control of by these screens and social media and all the words. And these houses that are very boxy and seem to separate us from the living, breathing, one nature of everything, which is the natural world. It's compounded when we live in the city and we're not outside under trees every day. It's compounded when we go outside and we see a bunch of trash and we feel sorry for the earth instead of like recognizing that she's doing better than we are. Right? So what do we do about this when we look around and all we see is the bad news about the earth and climate change and the degradation of the forests? And what do we do? How do we tap the inspiring peace of land spirit with all that melee? And what I've learned, particularly with the help of Maria, my Apache mama, and others who work with the land a lot, what I've learned is that we can ask the land we're on, whether it's your backyard or your neighborhood park or a land that you visit on pilgrimage or vacation, you can stop and take a breath. And it's often protocol to make an exchange. Sometimes I'll just pull out a hair and leave it on the land as a gift to the land, like offering some of my DNA. And then with that gift, I ask humbly of that land for the privilege of seeing it on all levels and dimensions, for the privilege of seeing the seen and unseen in the highest good. And I do always add that highest good thing because that's important, to align with the highest good in all of these otherworldly things. But to simply ask, I'd like to walk this land and see on all dimensions today, please. May I? And wait. This is part of protocol that I learned from Maria as well. Wait for an answer. And the answer may come as a gentle breeze that feels like a yes. The answer may feel like a veil lifting and showing you a different version of light in that area of the forest or something. The answer might come as a leaf falling to the ground. You'll know the answer when you feel it, when you sense it, or when you feel it inside yourself. And when you feel that yes, then go on your walk, but let your eyes be soft. I spent a couple of years working with a vision therapist who was really also a very deep intuitive. And she said, our eyes are designed to be receivers of light. That's the way we vision. That's the way we see. But too often we are going out with our eyes to grab the vision or to make sense of the words. We're going outwards with our eyes. And she said, this is not natural and it's exhausting. And this is something similar to what Maria taught me when I'm stalking power on a walk, to let the light and the vision come in, to be in a receptive mode. What helps you be in a receptive mode while you're taking a walk? I'll give you a hint. It's having a relaxed root and a relaxed jaw, having an open channel of surrender, of sensed feeling. And then let the visions come to you. Now that's very different. I'm explaining it to you in words, but I'm hoping you can feel it. And maybe some of you have experienced this before. But my experience is when I ask for permission like this on land, suddenly I can see these guardians of the land. Suddenly I can sense the movements of the air as conscious. Suddenly I can feel the beings that live under the earth Now, as I'm saying this, some of you might be like, whoa, 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 I don't believe in all that stuff. Well, what if you go back into the mind of a child? You know, when you were a little kid, if you imagine your 6-year-old self in a beautiful park or a wild space, and you say, hey, let's look for the fairies. That 6-year-old is going to be like, I see one. And she's going to point to a dragonfly, or she's going to just point to a who knows what. And she's going to go, that's where the fairies live. And you might go, yeah, let's go check out the fairies. Now, what happens to your energy when you allow yourself to go into that playful, imaginative, magical state with the natural world? Your energy becomes very receptive to miracles and to beauty and to joy and to playfulness. And that's the vibe. That's the vibe. Every wisdom tradition that I've seen and that my teachers have seen has some version of fairies, little ones, menehune, leprechauns. Why would that be, y'all? Why would it be that every single tradition has some version of this spirit? Probably because they're looking at something real. And they're using different metaphors to label it and work with it. That's cool. Whatever that might be for you. What would it be like to give yourself permission to believe in fairies again? When you ask permission of the land to see on all dimensions and levels and layers, you open yourself like that little innocent 6-year-old to then see whatever there is to see in the highest good and to experience it fresh. We do this, by the way, I lead retreats on the land, and we're going to be doing this year quite a bit. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about problem number 2. Problem number 2 that we're having right now. That's really the people who are experiencing this problem, and that's most of us, we're really missing out on some major resource. And this problem is that we've forgotten that land holds energy for us, that stones and land are like little storage facilities of energy for us. We don't talk about that anymore, even though, again, every wisdom tradition in the world talks about the sacred places where you go to receive a certain energy, where you go to receive a certain initiation, where you go to feel a certain thing. And yet we kind of don't. We're just like, well, you know, it's nice to go to the beach. It's nice to go. It is. It's very nice to go to any beach. But gosh, there's some different energies. We were just on pilgrimage to Hawaii earlier this year. A couple of you were there. And we can attest that different places on the Hawaiian Islands have very different energies and very different things to give. We can also attest, any of us who've done spiritual pilgrimages and travel, that there are certain places where you show up there and you feel like you came home. Where is that place for you? For those of you that have traveled, where's a place that you've traveled where when you arrived or you just did a prayer there, you were like, whoa, I've been here before. This must be one of the homes of my soul. Like, I know this place. I've never been here before in my life, but I know this place. Where has that been for you? I'm curious. Let's see some of the different varieties of that. So there's a secret with this problem because there's a new possibility here. It has been such that before 2012, you would have to pilgrimage to those sites, you know? For Shannon, it's Kauai. For Odd, it's Kailua Kona on Big Island. Yes. For Lise, it's Oregon, where she now lives. And for Lisa, it's Santa Fe. Yeah. For Memory, it's Cookeville, Wyoming. Yeah. For Diane, it's Salt Spring Island in BC, Canada. So for each one of us, it might be a different place that when we arrived there and we were just like, oh, this place has energy for me. I love seeing all these places pop up in the chat. Maine, Colorado, Ireland, Peru, Connecticut, Scotland. Yeah. Before 2012, from what my teachers are teaching me, yeah, you would have to go to that place or go there at least in journey. Like, you'd have to make direct contact or, physical contact with that place in order to reclaim that energy. And you probably already noticed, guys, that when you visited this sacred place, this place of your soul, one of the places of your soul, right? I bet there's plenty. That if you had gone there and we're in just a tense go, go, go state, and we're just like doing business and going from your car to the place, it's like you might not have felt what you felt there. But I bet when you were there, you took a minute to relax. Maybe it's because you were on vacation, or maybe it's because to take a minute and say hello to the land. And that's the moment when you're going to feel that deeper connection. A lot of people right now, because they don't know that land holds these sorts of things for us, they'll just zoom, zoom, zoom. They'll go on vacation and they'll never take a breath. They'll zoom right through the catacombs of Rome and never realize they had 5 past lives in that area. Like, they just zoom, zoom, zoom. So again, this foundational practice of opening the root, opening the jaw, taking a breath and saying hello, making a gift to the land, your water, your spit from your mouth, if it's a dry land, your hair, saying hello. May I see you on all layers. Now you're going to feel if that place has been holding for you an energy. You will feel it. Okay, I promised you a secret here, and there is one. And this kind of blows me away, and I've been playing with it, and it appears to work just real well. Before 2012, before the earth kind of reached her popping point, you would have to go to these places to feel this. And now, because the earth's mycelial web is more connected and more empathic as ever, just as the human person-to-person web is becoming more empathic, intuitively connected, despite appearances to the contrary, the earth is already there. And when you sit the way that we were talking, with your sits bones connected to that mycelial web, and you are relaxed and you are asking to connect, that mycelial web can bring you the pyramids of Egypt. That mycelial web can bring you the sacred prayers of Chaco Canyon. That mycelial web can connect you to those volcanoes on the Big Island in Hawaii. Now, it's still really fun to go visit them. Don't get me wrong. All right. But as land spirit practitioners, as those who work directly with the land, I'm here to tell you that every land now has connection to every other. And even as you sit here right now, you can call on the energy of that place that you love, that vortex that's also situated on this web of mycelial wisdom. You can call on that and feel it with you right now. This is part of why I love using drum journey. Because if you're journeying, you can take intoxicating plants, right, to take you out of your body to visit places, but you can also use your breath. You can use the drum. You can use sound. You can use a lot of different ways to attune yourself to drop through that mycelial web and travel. You don't have to explode out your top side, which can sometimes affect your mind in ways that are not ideal. You can go down. It's natural. You can tap right here and from anywhere to any land to retrieve your power from that land, to tap the powers of healing of that land, to reconnect with your own power that was stored there and bring it home. How about that, land spirit? Okay. Finally, this third kind of problem solution thingamajiggy. And this problem, I struggle with this one sometimes. Sometimes we teach what we most need to learn, right? What we most need to practice. And I know it and I practice it, but I could practice it more. The problem is there is this sense that if we are out on land, that we're out alone in the park, the middle of your town, or in the forest or in the desert, that we're alone, that somehow that's boring and non-productive. Maybe even scary because it's lonely. I live on 20 acres of cedar forest. This is where Sacred Cedars, my retreat center, is, where we do retreat. We're doing one in the desert in February. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I'm here all the time. And sometimes I notice myself resisting to go out into the forest because I think, well, no, I need to get stuff done. Like, really, Mellissa, holy crap. Like, every time I go into that forest, I get the download I need. I get the upload from the earth I need. And I still resist flipping outside. Can anybody relate with this? Tell me you can, so that I don't feel so freaky. I love getting stuff done. And I'm so driven by my purpose and my work that sometimes I literally resist going outside. And I think that this is a pretty common problem. And the solution is really fun. The solution is, oh, thank you, Janet. Yes. Okay, Holly. Yes. Okay. I'm not alone in this. It's all about me right now. The solution is to get back in touch with our invisible friends, our invisible land spirits. To get back in touch and recognize they are here. And recognize that when we're bathed and cloaked in the highest good, that we draw to talk to us this beautiful, holy spirits of the land that are also bathed in the highest good, they're waiting for us, just like our guides that are up here, and our spirit guides and the holy ones and the angels, they're waiting for us, right, to ask. So it is with the land spirits. They are waiting. They are asking for us to reconnect. Let's talk about fairy tale creatures, shall we? Be honest with you. There are a lot of things that when I changed radically from being a lawyer, a liturgist in the Catholic Church, like a really straight line good girl, to awakening to a lot of, whoa, spirit guides. And like it happened like that with the birth of my daughter back in the year 2000. For those of you who haven't heard that whole story, it's on my podcast and you can email me and ask me anything. It's like, I wasn't a woo-woo person before. So when the woo-woo stuff became what I am, I felt like every single thing that I learned, I was like, well, okay. So they're spirit guides. Obviously they're spirit guides. That's fine. But don't tell me astrology is real, right? Because that stuff is just whacked. And then guess what? Astrology is real. I'm like, okay, well, certainly not numerology. I mean, that's just bullshit. Oh, shoot, that has some truth too. Oh, woof. And one of the last things that I have had to acknowledge are very real. Are mythical creatures. Yeah. So, I mean, we just talked about fairies and how basically every tradition has recognized that there are these mischievous little one spirits that live in nature and embody a little bit of playful chaos and that steal your socks and your keys if you're taking yourself too seriously. And many cultures have altars that exchange stuff with them, and there's certain animal guides that connect with them, and cool. Okay. Well, here on my land a few years ago, there was some like really dark stuff started happening on the land. And like goats that got slaughtered in 10 minutes, and it wasn't really okay. A lion maybe could have done that. Like there was just stuff that was like, and it took another psychic friend who was visiting me to say, yeah, Mellissa, you've got a really upset spirit here on the land. And I was like, I do. And as soon as I said I do, I could feel her. I could feel her, this elemental spirit. She was very upset. And I can understand why. There was, a genocide of the native people here on this land. There was a gold rush where they just wiped out and cut down all the trees really fast and just wiped everything natural out in the greedy search for gold. I'm sure there was other stuff that happened here. And she was upset. And she was causing some real problems until I talked to her. And not just talk to her. I had to make really deep contact with her. And I had to. I was privileged to. I chose to dive into the pain she was feeling and to feel with her, which is literally what compassion means, right? But to feel with her what happened here on this land, on this 20 acres. And to rage with her and to wail with her and to hurt with her. And then she wanted me to buy her some really fancy rocks. So I got her some rocks, some crystals. And as soon as I bought those crystals for her, she said, oh, you're serious. And then all the shenanigans that were happening on the land went away. Now, I've studied some Norse mythology. I've studied some Celtic mythology. I've studied a lot of Native American, especially through my Apache mama mythology. And there always have been acknowledged spirits. Some cultures call them trolls, dwarves living underground, and they're different, right? So I'm not trying to put trolls and dwarves together. There's all kinds of different shenanigans who get really upset when you upset the rocks, and the way to fix it is to balance out the rocks on the land. What the heck? Now, I had cleared poltergeists from houses and ghosts and stuff. That was all the clearing of up here. But what it took to really heal the land and to make peace with the spirit and to come to agreement with her was down here. And that's the practices. And obviously, this is a big can of worms to open up in the last 5 minutes of a free masterclass. But I have since really understood better and better, and I am still learning. But our intuitive openness can be used to connect directly with the spirits of the land. And that's not just a metaphor, but a reality, an energetic and elemental reality of the land. And I am so lucky to have teachers like Maria who have taught me how to anchor land, how to work directly with the land, how to work directly with these spirits. I talked to our native locals here about what to do with this spirit, and I got help, prayer help from them, and prayer help from Maria, and prayer help from others, and then physical practices to anchor land. The altars, the stone altars at the 4 directions is one way. Creating spirals on the land that then triangulate a spiral in the middle is another way that Maria taught me. And so there's a lot there. And we've forgotten that we're not alone. When you go to the park, when you go to the forest, when you go to the wild places, even when they're semi-wild urban spaces, you are surrounded by land spirits. And the ones that are in alignment with your intention for the highest good really want to play with you, really want to create with you. So this year, and this is the craziest stuff. That was my lawyer's word, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Well, that's the problem, is that we think this is crazy stuff when the truth is this is the answer right now. So this year, I'm going to be leading 4 retreats. They're land spirit connection retreats. They're going to be 4-day retreats. In the past couple of years, I've only let my leaders circle people, my sort of higher end mentorship people attend these kind of retreats. But this year I'm opening it up. The spirit says it's time. So the first one is the last weekend in February. And we're going to Joshua Tree. I've rented an incredible retreat space there with a dome, a sound dome, and not the Integratron, that's down the road, but like a beautiful sound dome and a swimming pool and a hot tub and like the most amazing place and the retreat will include stay and meals and stuff. And got that priced at $3,500. And I'm going to make a couple of spots available for significantly less for people who need kind of part scholarship. So I haven't even finished the sales page on this. It should be done soon. And I'll definitely send it out to my whole email list, which you should now be on. So watch out for that. But I did want to say I'm going to be leading 4 retreats. The first one in Joshua Tree, and then 3 on my land here in the Cedar Forest, where I teach all these different land spirit connective things. And we're going to have a really good time with it. So I'm just telling you that because if you are already like, ooh, I want, I'm going to make a deal for folks who want to do all 4 retreats. I'm going to make a deal for the people who need some scholarship support. Just email me if this is like perking your intuitive. That's my email, Mellissa@channelyourgenius.com. Just email me. Email me if you're interested in any of that. And we also have the Wisdom Collective where we teach this stuff and it's super affordable. Elena, are you here and you can put the link to the Wisdom Collective up? Or I can kind of try and find it. I'm so glad that you've been here, and I'm really glad that there's interest in this topic, because I do think that more and more as things get rampied up, we're going to need to go to the land more and more. It's like the land is where you're going to feel your sanity. The land is where you're going to feel your sanity. Because this world right here, this is not really going to be the place where you're going to feel the sanity for a while. The land is. And the coolest thing about the evolution that's happening in humankind right now, I think, is that mycelial web that's already below us, just pumping and working so great, which is also, we work with that in my business mentorship, because that's where money lives. That's where connection to your potential clients lives, all that stuff. That mycelial web is being replicated among the humans now. That's the evolution we're about. So thank you for being here. We're going to close this up. There will be a replay available for like 48 hours, and then we'll probably put it up on my channels at some point. I'm so glad that you came. I really appreciate you. Please email me at melissa@channelyourgenius.com, your ideas, your comments, your requests, especially if you'd love to do some retreats with me in the next year. I would like to know that. I would like to know you. Thanks for doing what you're doing, and enjoy connecting with the land spirits. Mwah. Much love to all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.